What if the brightest lights of fame are also the most fragile moments of the human heart? That question hung heavy in the air on the night the gala was meant to celebrate elegant success and carefully rehearsed perfection. A night of applause-tailored suits and scripted smiles. A night designed to move forward smoothly, without interruption. And yet, in a single unplanned moment, everything stopped. The music faded. The cameras froze. The audience fell silent. And on that stage, under the unforgiving glow of the spotlight, Tan Songyun collapsed. This is not just the story of a fainting incident. This is the story of what happens when the mask of stardom slips and something painfully real takes its place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. We follow the moments and emotions of your favorite TV stars. Stay with us. The gala hall was radiant with confidence. Every step onto the red carpet had been calculated. Every wave to the crowd polished. Soo Kai stood tall that night, composed, dignified, the image of a star who had mastered the art of control. Beside him was Tan Songyun, graceful and warm, her smile soft but steady, the kind that reassures everyone in the room without saying a word. Together, they looked unshakable, two figures shaped by years of discipline and public expectation. No one knew that just moments later, the illusion would shatter. As Tan Songyun stepped forward to speak, something changed. It was subtle at first, a pause too long, a breath too shallow. The cameras did not catch it immediately, but Soo Kai did. He saw it in her eyes. The brief loss of focus. The way her posture faltered for half a second. In a world where every movement is rehearsed, that single unscripted beat felt dangerously loud. And then she fell. The sound was not dramatic. There was no crash, no scream. Just a sudden collapse that sent a shockwave through the room. Chairs scraped back. Gasps rippled through the audience. For a split second, no one moved, as if the entire hall needed permission to breathe again. Soo Kai was the first to break the spell.
He did not think.
He did not wait for protocol or security or instruction. He moved with instinct, dropping to his knees beside her, calling her name with a voice that no longer belonged to a public figure, but to a frightened human being. His hands trembled as he tried to steady her, his expression stripped of every layer of celebrity polish. And that is when the cameras captured something no script could ever produce. Soo Kai broke down. His eyes filled with panic, not the quiet kind, but the kind that comes from helplessness. His lips quivered as he spoke to her, as if willing his words to pull her back into consciousness. In that moment, the world did not see an actor or an idol. They saw a man terrified of losing someone right in front of him. The host stood frozen. The staff hesitated. The audience watched in stunned silence as medics rushed forward. But Soo Kai did not move away. He stayed close, refusing to let go, his face tightening as reality settled in. The weight of the moment pressed down on him, and for the first time, he did not hide it.
Tears fell.
Not for the cameras. Not for sympathy. But because fear does not care who is watching. As Tan Songyun was carefully lifted and carried off the stage, Soo Kai rose slowly, his legs unsteady, his composure shattered. He turned away from the crowd, covering his face, shoulders shaking as he struggled to regain control. The applause that followed was not celebratory. It was fragile, uncertain, born from concern rather than admiration. Behind the curtains, the reality of the situation deepened. Sources later revealed that Tan Songyun had been pushing herself beyond her limits for weeks. Endless rehearsals, long travel days, late nights followed by early mornings. The quiet exhaustion that stars are expected to endure without complaint. The fainting was not sudden. It was the body's final protest. And Soo Kai knew. Those close to them said he had warned her to rest. That he had noticed the signs long before anyone else did. The pale complexion. The forced smiles. The way she laughed just a second too late. And when she collapsed, the fear in his eyes was not surprise. It was confirmation. That is what made the moment so devastating. Because this was not about scandal or rumors or stage drama. This was about two people standing at the edge of something very real. One body giving in. One heartbreaking in real time. The gala resumed later, but nothing felt the same. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips of Soo Kai kneeling on the stage spread rapidly, paused, and replayed by millions. Fans did not talk about fashion or awards. They talked about his face, his voice, his tears. Many said they had never seen him so vulnerable. Others admitted they cried watching it, because for the first time, the distance between star and audience disappeared completely. And at the center of it all was Tan Songyun.
Strong,
Beloved, resilient, and suddenly human in a way the world was not prepared to see. She later regained consciousness and was reported to be stable, but the image remained. Her collapsing under the lights. Soo Kai breaking down beside her. A reminder that behind every perfect performance is a body that can fail and a heart that can be overwhelmed. This moment did not shock the gala because it was dramatic. It shocked the gala because it was honest. In a world that demands constant strength, this was a rare glimpse of fragility. A reminder that fame does not grant immunity from exhaustion, that success does not erase fear, and that even the strongest people sometimes fall. And perhaps the most haunting question of all remains unanswered. When the lights go off and the applause fades, how many more moments like this are quietly waiting behind the curtain? Because that night, on a stage meant for celebration, the world did not witness a performance. It witnessed the truth. What happened after the curtains closed was never meant for the public eye. Backstage, the air was heavy with urgency and disbelief. The polished smiles vanished, replaced by hushed voices and hurried footsteps. Tan Songyun was surrounded by medical staff, oxygen administered, vitals checked, the reality of her condition finally given the attention it had been denied for too long. The lights were dimmer there, softer, but the fear felt sharper. Soo Kai stood just a few steps away, frozen in place, his hands still shaking as if his body had not yet realized the danger had passed. Witnesses later said he kept asking the same question again and again, barely above a whisper. Is she okay? This was no longer about schedules or public statements. This was about someone he cared for lying unconscious because the world had asked too much and listened too little. When the doctors finally nodded, when the words stable and conscious were spoken, Soo Kai exhaled for the first time since she fell. His shoulders dropped. His eyes closed. And in that quiet moment of relief, something inside him cracked all over again. He turned away, pressing his forehead against the wall, swallowing sobs he could no longer control. Because fear does not disappear the moment danger passes. It lingers. It replays what could have happened. Outside, the audience waited without answers. The gala organizers struggled to regain order, issuing carefully worded announcements that revealed nothing and everything at the same time. The program continued, but the room remained unsettled, as if everyone understood they were now watching something less important than what had already occurred. Meanwhile, the internet was doing what it always does, slowing down time, zooming in on expressions, analyzing every second of footage. Fans noticed the way Soo Kai never looked at the cameras, the way his hands reached for Tan Songyun instinctively, the way his composure collapsed the moment she did. And questions began to surface. Why was she so exhausted? How long had she been pushing herself? And why did his reaction feel so deeply personal? Speculation grew, but beneath the noise was something quieter and more powerful. Concern for Tan Songyun's health, and respect for a moment that felt too raw to turn into gossip. Hours later, a brief update confirmed she was resting under medical supervision. No drama, no exaggeration, just facts. And yet, it did nothing to erase the image etched into the collective memory. Because people do not forget moments when truth breaks through performance. In the days that followed, the industry slowed down, if only slightly. Schedules were adjusted. Appearances postponed. Conversations about overwork resurfaced once again, echoing through comment sections and newsrooms. Many asked why it always takes a collapse for concern to become visible. Soo Kai remained silent publicly. No posts. No interviews. No explanations. His absence spoke louder than words. Those close to him said he visited Tan Songyun quietly, without announcement, without cameras, without turning concern into content. And that silence mattered, because it honored the seriousness of what happened. It refused to turn a moment of vulnerability into a headline designed for consumption. When Tan Songyun eventually addressed the incident, her words were gentle, almost apologetic. She thanked everyone for their worry.
She promised to rest.
She smiled in the photo she shared, but fans noticed it was softer now, less performative, more real. And in that quiet smile was an unspoken acknowledgement. Something had changed. That night did not end with applause. It ended with awareness, with a reminder that behind every stage is a human cost, that strength is not infinite, and that sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is stop. As for Soo Kai, the image of him breaking down on that stage remains unforgettable, not because it was shocking but because it was sincere. In a world obsessed with perfection, his fear and tears became a mirror, showing us that care is not weakness, that emotion is not failure, and that even in the brightest spotlight, humanity can still take center stage. And perhaps the most lasting impact of that night is not the incident itself, but the silence that followed. A silence that asks us to look closer, to listen better, and to remember that no performance is worth losing someone to exhaustion. Because when Tan Songyun collapsed, the show did not go on.
It paused.
And in that pause, the world finally saw the cost of always pretending everything is fine.